Hey, welcome back to another video. On this one, we're going to be installing a Sherpa roof rack. It's the Big Bear model for 07 to 21 Tundras. So what's unique about this one is folks usually put these roof racks on either with no camper or before they put the camper on. I'm going to be working with some tight clearances between the camper and the roof of the truck. So I got some special tools I ordered for that, and I'll show you the process. So let's get this one started. All right, have it all unpackaged, laid out here on the floor. I'm gonna build it on the garage floor first, make it a complete unit. You can go on the Sherpa website, download the PDF instructions for whatever your rack is. So I'm just gonna jump into this and start following the instructions. First step was grab one of these bars. They're all the same. Grab 6 of these T-nuts, slide the T-nuts down the track, and you're gonna space them out to fit the fairing, and that's gonna be step 1. So line up the T-nut with the fairing hole and then put the bolts in. I left them loose just a little bit, made sure the fairing is flush with the end of the bar on each end, and now I'm going to tighten them up. Here it is, mostly mocked up. Some of the crossbars are still loose, but I did go ahead and tighten this one and this one. The instructions didn't necessarily say to do that, but I wanted to assure myself that this exterior rail and that exterior rail were square with each other. So I tightened the crossbars just in those 2 locations. I slid this one all the way back and this one all the way forward in their respective slots. And then tightened them, so I know that kind of made a perfect square. These center ones, the front main cross member with the foot on it, and the rear main cross member with the foot on it, those are still loose, so I can adjust it to the shape of the roof and the curve and the mounting location. But at least tightening these 2, I know that the exterior rails are square and those aren't gonna move. So when I get it up on the truck, I'll just adjust these front ones with the foot that's still loose, and I'll get them mounted in the correct spot that way. You have to pull the rain gutters out. You just lift up on the front of this rubber piece, and there's a little metal clip in there. And then you just pull the rest of the gutter out. All right, so the rack is up here. I've got it pretty much measured exactly where I want it. For reference on my Tundra, that's where the outside rail lined up with the drip rail of the rain gutter. So the next step will be marking this hole in the truck roof, drilling it and riveting it, and then some bolts go into this once it's mounted. So I took some soap and a brush and I scrubbed this whole drip rail out. It was caked with mud and dead bugs and all sorts of stuff. But you're gonna be applying some silicone here under this foot that mounts. So I wanted to make sure the surface was all nice and clean, and do that before you drill the holes, obviously, so it doesn't leak into the cab. So for the front half of the roof, I don't have a camper over it. So I'm gonna use regular length drill bit. The instructions call for a 13/64 drill bit to fit these rivets. But for the back half where the camper is, I special ordered these short stubby bits They have the 1/4-inch drive on the back of it. It's going to go into this 90-degree portion that the drill then attaches to this end, and I'll show you once I get to that process. So I'm going to pull out a 1/8-inch drill bit to start as a pilot hole, and then I'll bump up to the 13/64 to drill the final hole for the rivet, and these are the sizes per the instructions. And then for the rear section, I don't have an 1/8 inch in this stubby drill bit, so I'll start with a 5/32 as my pilot and then finish it off with the 13/64. In the instructions, it also talks about using a drill stop. It's super critical that you don't let the drill bit plunge too far into the interior of the cab of the truck. Your headliner is right there and the side curtain airbags. So using these drill stops, I'll set that up. We've got a bunch of different sizes here. 1/8 inch, so we'll be using that one. So we'll be putting this on the 1/8 inch bit. It comes with an Allen wrench. Tighten it down. So the instructions don't say how far to set the drill stop, but I'm gonna give it a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. Let's see what we got here. So I'm gonna start with about 3/16 of drill bit showing here. I'm gonna try that, and if it doesn't make it all the way through, I'll slide the drill stop down a little bit to go further, but I'm pretty sure that'll be far enough. All right, we got the included silicone tube. I'm gonna silicone around the holes. Put a little bit on the bottom. Set the foot right there. I'm gonna fill a little bit from the top side. The shoulder of the rivet here will seal into the silicone. Well, that's something I didn't notice. The rivet fits in the hole that I was told to drill 13/64, but it doesn't fit through the foot of the rack. So I'm gonna have to clean the silicone off of here and I guess drill it out just a little bit. All right, let's try that again. So I used the same 13/64 drill bit that I drilled the roof with, and now the rivet fits through there. But now we need to re-silicone. Well, that just broke in the middle of trying to do this. So I went and bought a new one. So let's see if this works. So they're completely bottomed out. There's no more slack left in the rivet to clamp it. And I'm used to rivets having the stem pop off, but I don't know if these are so large that mine just doesn't do it. But they're at the break point, so they come right off with just a wiggle. Those rear ones were not easy. That new rivet gun worked, but there is barely enough room between here and there to do it. Maybe if I had time to research a rivet gun that you could squeeze the handle parallel to the roof of the truck, if that even exists, that would do it. But the handle kept running into the underside of the camper. Now it's time to trim the weather stripping that goes in this rain gutter, and I'm gonna trim the center section so I can put it back in. So like I said, I'm gonna trim this weather stripping out of this rain gutter. This is the one that came out of it. So I'm gonna make a section that fits in here and then skip the foot that's mounted and then make a long section for the center. So this has a metal band running down the middle of it. So get some tin snips, put the front where it goes, eyeball where to cut it, and then tin snips go right through it, and then press it back down in there. And then use this same end that you already cut, press it down in here, and then I'm gonna cut probably 8 inches or so off the back because I've got a 4-inch foot and a 4-inch foot. This thing's been such a job today, maybe I'll get some ice cream from the ice cream truck that's coming by. Should I wait till that thing gets a little further away?
So loud.
It's so loud. Here's how the weather stripping looks, all trimmed, and then goes back, and same on the rear foot. The rear foot looks just like this. All right, just threw the rack up here, used some moving blankets to set it on. My wife helped me put it up here with a couple ladders. We forgot to film it, but it looks like just the first time when you saw it go up with my neighbor. So now it's time to throw these bolts into the feet. These are still loose, so I can move the feet around and adjust it a little. So we'll just get all the feet started, just finger tight, and then we'll adjust it and make it all square, and then we'll tighten it down. Last couple bolts and it'll be tightened up. And then I can adjust these crossbars whenever I want to whatever I end up putting up there, and then tighten them down. Those don't affect how it mounts. All right, that's gonna wrap up the install of this Sherpa Big Bear roof rack on my Tundra. It went pretty well overall. Nothing to do with Sherpa, but my rivet gun had broke back here, so that made it a little bit of a pain. Had to go buy a new one. This distance was a little tricky, but it's doable. If you have a camper on your truck already, specifically this 4-wheel camper, you can do it. Just take your time, make your markings, your measurements, check everything, get a good quality rivet gun, use the silicone. The PDF instructions were pretty good, and Sherpa made a good product, so I like it so far. It really complements the truck and the camper. It fills in this gap. I'm hoping it gets rid of some of my wind noise and turbulence that's in there. And then in the future, I'll figure out what I want to mount up there. So thanks for checking out the video. Subscribe for me, please. You'll get notified of future install videos and adventures. And thanks for checking it out, and see you on the next one.